Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Yoga for Energy and Renewal. I'm Megan. It's great to have you here. If you're here live or by the recording, if you'd like to have anything to support your practice, most of you know what those things are, but I'll just go over it for those of you who might not. A yoga mat or some other type of fitness mat, one or two blankets or pillows, a chair or a wall for balance. I have a fitness resistance band, but you could use a yoga belt, a strap, a scarf, or something else that's longer. Yoga blocks or a small pillow. As always, you don't need any of these things if you don't have them or they're difficult and to access, or you left them in another room like I sometimes do, and you just have to make do. That's it might be where you're at today. So go ahead and take a comfortable seated shape. Certainly does not have to be on the floor. Could be in the chair or leaning up against the side of your sofa or a wall. But as you start to settle, just shift around a little bit, side to side and front to back. And as you come to a restful position, just see if it feels like you need a little more support underneath your hips or behind your back. So what I noticed yesterday, I was doing some random things with practice, and just the difference between sitting on the floor. I have like a tiny blanket fold underneath, but just the difference between that. And if I took my two blocks, or you could have a little pillow or an extra mat that you folded up, and see if I place those together. And then I could always take this blanket, and of course this is if you can even come down to the floor safely, or your knees are okay with bending, then you take the blanket and roll it around the fronts of your ankles, gives your ankles some support as well as your knees. So for me personally, this is actually quite a bit more comfortable than just sitting right on the floor. If you're in the chair, you might want the blanket rolled this direction down your spine or this direction across your low back. So really, we're just looking for some upright supported shape so that we can open up the diaphragm a little bit more and allow ourselves to breathe a little easier into the lungs. So letting yourself settle again. You may wish to close your eyes or just let them soften. Noticing the pattern of your natural breath. Does it feel short? Does it feel steady? Does it feel kind of choppy? Noticing if you have any congestion. If you soften your shoulders, relax your belly. That invitation to soften and release a little bit of tension allows you to breathe a little easier. Softening the face. Noticing sensations in your physical body you may want to pay more attention to today. Noticing your energy level. You have no to low energy. You might wish to take several breaks through the practice. Noticing your mood or emotional state. If you're ready, you could bring one or both hands to the heart space, or just let the hands rest where they were. Setting an intention for your practice today. Something that feels relevant to you, important to you. Maybe related to physical or emotional well-being, or something else. We're just going to take a short mudra practice. You can always follow along with this practice or just watch if you'd like. This is called Trimurti Mudra. You touch the tips of the thumbs together, and then close the other fingers together and bring the tips of the index fingers together. So you're making a triangle shape. So when you turn it upside down, it looks like an inverted triangle. And just having that in front of your abdomen or in front of that pelvic area, and allowing the eyes to soften or close again. And you may wish to repeat to yourself silently or out loud. Balanced at the center of my being, I embrace life's transitions as opportunities. Balanced at the center of my being, I embrace life's transitions as opportunities. Balanced at the center of my being, I embrace life's challenges as opportunities. Just taking a slow breath in, a slightly longer breath out. If you like, you can bring the palms to press in front of your heart. If you need to change your position at any time, please feel free to do that in a sitting or standing shape. We'll inhale and open the arms to the sides. And exhale, bring the hands back to the heart. So if you would like to do a little vision work here, you could bring your eyes to your thumbs. As you inhale, look straight ahead, open the arms. As you exhale, bring the palms to touch and bring your eyes back to your thumbs. So inhale, look straight ahead, open the arms. Exhale, hands to the heart, eyes to the thumbs. And one more time, inhale, look straight ahead, open the arms. Exhale, bring the gaze back to the thumbs. And if you need to, you can blink a few times. We'll interlace the fingers and either take some circles with the wrists or some little figure eights. If you can, try to reverse the direction of your circle or your figure eights. Always where it gets complicated in the reversing of the directions. And if you were doing figure eights, try circles. If you were doing circles, try figure eights, even if it's not working as you'd like. Your brain's a little challenge there. And then open and close the fingers. Really stretch through the joints of each finger. Notice if there's any difficulty with some fingers or a singular finger. And as you inhale, you start to bring the elbows to the sides a little more. As you exhale, reach up. And just kind of slowly, like you're kind of climbing up a wall with your hands. And then slowly climb back down the wall so you're still getting those fingers moving. And we'll bring them down all the way towards the floor. Oh, my fingers are already starting to get tired. And then we'll take a little rotation of the arms. So it doesn't have to be a big swing of the torso. You're just relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms after doing that lifting and lowering up. And then coming back to the wrists, we'll bring the fingers down and just swing the hands a little forward and backward. If it's comfortable, you could swing all the way up and all the way back through. If that rotation isn't good for your elbows or your shoulders, you can always stick with the swinging door of the hands. And we'll bring the backs of the hands forward. The palms will face you. As you inhale, open to the sides. As you exhale, close the hands, the arms, so that the palms face you. So as you inhale, you open the palms. As you exhale, you turn the palms towards your face. So getting a little bit of rotation there in the shoulders. And the next time you come out to the sides, just stay there. We'll tap into the intercostal muscles along the ribs and the obliques by taking a little tilt of one elbow down, one elbow up. So if you have osteoporosis or you've been told by your doctor not to do a lateral move or a lateral bend, then you just kind of tilt your arms and keep your spine in the center. Otherwise, you could do more of a rotation, or sorry, not rotation, a flexion. So bending to one side. And again, if that bend doesn't work for you, you just keep your spine in the center, just rotate your arms. So one up is one is up, one is down. And see if you can bring in the breath. So exhale as you come over. Inhale back up. And one more time each side. Using the breath, kind of bringing it out as you come to each side, filling it up as you come to the center. And then as you come back in, you can rest your fingers on your shoulders. Take some small little circles with the elbows. Relaxing the shoulders, relax your jaw if it feels tight. And then reverse the direction. So if circling doesn't work for your shoulders, you can always just move the elbows a little front and back. And then can you start to make some bigger circles if that doesn't feel like strain? And then we'll reverse again. You can do bigger circles or smaller ones. And then as the shoulders soften down, elbows relax out to the sides a bit, just open and close the elbows a bit. Getting into, again, the upper back, the shoulders, and the underarms, the chest just a bit here. Good, and then letting that relax. You can shake it out if you'd like. And sometimes that upper body work, it's a little bit tense in our face and in our neck. So we'll just do a little bit with the neck here, letting your chin relax down towards your chest. So you want to keep the lift in your spine. And let your head do a little slow tilt to each side. So if you were one of those little bobblehead figures, you could do like a little bobble like that, but sometimes that's really hard to do. So if that feels like a harder movement to do, you just move a little side to side. And then bringing your gaze up to the center, let one ear come to one shoulder. So you can relax both shoulders down. If you'd like, you could lift your shoulder towards the ear on the side you're tilted towards, or you could take a little circle of that shoulder. And then just coming through the center over to the other side. And you could just stay with slightly tilting your head or relaxing it. You could lift your shoulder towards your ear and relax it back down. Or you could invite some circling of the shoulder if that's possible. And then we'll bring the fingers to touch just at the top of your cervical spine. So if you find your cervical spine in your neck, you might feel those little bony protrusions in your neck. If that's not comfortable to bring your arms up like that, you can just imagine that place right at the base of your skull where your spine begins. And from that place, I'm not doing anything with my hands other than finding the place. I'm not pushing my head, but my hands are just finding the place. And then just do a little small tilt with your chin up and down. So it's a very small movement, but try to do that movement right at the top there of the spine. So sometimes if we locate that place, it's pretty tense and tight in there. And then let that release. Either turn your head a little side to side, or you can take a half neck roll or roll up your shoulders. And then you could use your strap or belt or resistance band, scarf for this next one. This is again going to be a very small movement. I'm going to turn sideways just so you can see me better, but you can stay where you are or adjust your position. If you have fragility in your neck, like you've had cervical dislocation, you've had whiplash, you have osteoporosis, or anything else where your neck might be a little bit more vulnerable, what you will do is maybe not even use the strap, excuse me, and just start to imagine you're drawing your chin in a little bit and you're bringing your head back towards the wall behind you, as if there were a wall behind you. But it's a very small, subtle movement with those conditions. It might even be just thinking about it energetically. Can I draw the back of my head towards the wall, or can I bring my chin back in slightly? I'm going to keep the shoulders, the face relaxed. And then if you don't have those conditions, you use your band as a guide on the back of your head and bring your elbows forward. So I'm in this position. But what you want to be mindful of here is that you're not pulling your head forward with the band. The band is just holding steady as you press your head back into it very gently. And let it release. So you can try that a few times. Your arms, your hands don't move. Only your head is moving. Pressing gently back and releasing. You can also do this from lying down on your back on the floor with your knees bent and gently pressing the back of your head down into the mat or into a pillow or blanket. So it's a great way to strengthen your neck and the postural muscles in your neck, but it's also a very powerful movement that you don't want to overdo. So as you release that, you can let your head, do a little rotation or turn side to side. Just if you're practicing that on your own and, you're working on strengthening your neck, just make sure you're not pulling forward with the arms. So you're not pulling forward on the back of your head, just letting that be the guide. And then just setting that over to the side, and we'll send the legs forward. So if you're seated in the chair, you might want to scoot a bit to the front. If you're sitting on the floor, you might want to adjust what you're sitting on or change your position so that your legs can be more forward. And if you find that it's really difficult for you to sit upright, sometimes I like to lean into the side of my sofa or a wall. So I have a little bit more lift there of the spine, or of course sitting up a little taller on something. So with the legs forward, you can have your hands by your sides. If you want to sit completely upright, it's a lot more work here for the core and the back, where you can lean back a bit into your hands, softening your elbows, and give your legs enough space that you can rotate your legs out to the side and then back in. So if your legs, when they go into internal rotation, your toes are pointed towards each other, it's like, ooh, that really hurts my inner knee, or my hip doesn't want to rotate in, then you'll just rotate to the sides and then straight up. It might not even be straight up. It may still be more out to the sides. But we don't want to feel that pressure sensation on the inner knees or like a grinding in the hips. So we want this to be still pretty gentle and soft. And then taking some circles of the ankles. And if circles don't work, you can just wave the feet side to side. If you want to challenge yourself, you could circle one ankle one way and try to circle your other ankle the other way. You could even try to do those at the same time if you're really getting crafty with your coordination. And then reversing that, I don't even know if I can reverse that. Oh, I just cracking all the ankles. So just playing around with it. It may not be like a perfect reverse, and one foot may not cooperate at all, but really we're moving into getting the mobility of the ankles more important than anything else. So if you slide your feet in just a little bit, resting on the heels, so your knees are bent, just take a little tap, like you're tapping an invisible wall or ball with your feet. And notice where that movement is coming from. And then where it goes up through. So you'll probably notice it coming from your ankles, and then your knees are just kind of passively following along. If it's okay for the rest of your body, let the rest of your body kind of rock with that movement with as little like tension or gripping as you can. So this is for the fascia, the connective tissue, trying to keep that a bit more hydrated and supple So we want our whole body to move as part of that web if it can. And then we'll let that relax. Let one leg re-straighten. You can keep a bend in your knee if you'd like. Bring the other foot in and just take your knee out to the side and then back up. So same thing from seated. This leg is just a little closer to you. Your ankle might be under your knee if you're seated. But just letting that rotate out to the side. Again, doesn't have to go very far. It might be a visualization if this is a really painful area. Notice if your shoulders or your jaw starts getting tense. And then as it comes out to the side, we'll just slide on the edge of the foot and slide back in. So if you are on a more sticky mat surface, that sliding might be pretty difficult to do. So in the future, something you can do is try socks. Sometimes that works on a stickier surface. You could, if you have a paper plate, you can also put a paper plate under your foot. I know that sounds weird, but it actually works to help you slide on a harder to slide surface. And the next time your leg is extended, just let it relax. We'll bring the other foot in and now start to rock the knee out to the side on the sleigh. So maybe you're rolling to the edge of your foot, so if that's comfortable, recheck in. I notice my shoulders creeping back up there, so I'm gonna relax them back down and re-soften the face. And then the next time the knee comes to the side, I'm just gonna slide out on the edge of the foot and slide back in. So luckily the surface that I'm on is not sticky at all, so it's able to be slid upon. If you have shoes on and you're seated, it's really hard to do this because your shoes will just drag on the floor, especially if you're on carpet. All right, so as that knee comes in, we'll just roll to the sole of the foot. You can slide the other knee out to the side and roll that straight back up. And we'll take a little rocking of the knees. So you might want the feet wider than the hips, letting the knees just rock a little side to side. If you feel any popping or grinding in the hip bone area, in the pelvic area right here, you can always try changing the position of your leg. Sometimes it's the femur bone where it's attaching into the hips. It's just not in the right angle. So if you change the angle a little bit, sometimes there won't be that grindy feeling. And then you can have your legs straight crossed or really any other shape here. We're about to transition out of this shape. Just take a reach up as you breathe in and exhale as you come down. We'll just do that one more time. Breathing in as you reach up. Breathing out as you come down. So we'll come to a standing position, or you can stay seated in your chair. So there's many ways you can get up from the floor. I'll show you one of them using the blocks, but you would not necessarily have to have the blocks. So this is how you get up in more of a spiral. You fold one leg in, you could have your hands higher on the blocks, and you start to rotate into this spiral shape, and then you might step this foot up. You could have blocks or a little table here, and lift the back knee and step forward into a little squat and walk your way up. So there's lots of ways to safely get up and down from the floor. But I would say the thing to maybe avoid the most is not necessarily putting one leg forward, but that you push into your knee as you come forward. So if you're coming forward and you're pushing all your weight into your knee joint, that's really hard on the knee. So if you have to use the leverage of your leg and you don't have anything to hold on to, push down in the center of your leg, maybe tuck your back toes, and then step up. So you're just having a different leverage point with your leg. And once you get up to standing, or if you're seated, you can stay where you are. Just take a little shift of your weight from one side to the other. Maybe notice with this slightly wider than mountain pose stance, how that changes your balance. And then if you start to slide or walk the feet into mountain pose distance, about hips width apart, and you do that same little sway, what has changed? And then just do a little shift for front to back. So you can always keep the toes down and the heels down, or hold on to a wall or the side of your chair. If you're in the chair, seated, same thing. Just shift your weight a little front to back, side to side, and then re-find your center. And since I'm facing you this way, I'm not going to have a chair right here for balance because it'll kind of block everything. But if you'd like to have a chair or wall in front of you for balance, you can rotate towards the front of your mat and have that there if you'd like. With your arms by your sides, slowly inhale halfway up, maybe turn the palms up, and then turn the palms down and float back down gently. So inhale, palms up, just come halfway up. Exhale, palms down, float back down. So we'll add challenge as we go, and you can leave out any challenge that doesn't feel good for you. You can come up halfway or start to lift your arms a little higher. Maybe your heels get lighter. Exhale, slowly float back down. So if you want to do the heel lift, but it feels unsteady, just hold on to a wall or chair with one hand or lean into a wall. And then again, as you inhale, just lift the arms. Maybe the heels lift or lift and lower, slowly float back down. So you're just going up to the same, or to the place that feels stable for you. Ooh, it's not there. So, excuse me, sometimes we find that place we think is stable and it's not. So that's a good exploration. So one more time, lifting, maybe feeling the energy lift, and like it's floating back down like a feather. So the feather hopefully lands pretty lightly and doesn't just like ka-thunk back down. But again, sometimes that takes some challenge to do, some work to do that. So this time as we inhale, we'll float up to the sides, palms up. As you exhale, just rotate the arms to one side. Inhale the arms to the center. Exhale the arms the other way. So again, this is where if rotation is not good for your spine, you're just rotating arms. If rotation is okay for your spine, you can start rotating the torso. So breathing in through the center and breathing out to the side. And again, if you want to add more challenge here, as you rotate to the side, you could try to lift your heels or just lighten them. Lower them as you come through the center and inhale. As you exhale, rotate, maybe add a lift of one or both heels, a little different kind of challenge in the shape. So we'll do one more to each side. Keeping your breath nice and smooth. As you come through the center, take an inhale there. Exhale, like you're floating back down to the ground. And you can just kind of flesh out the arms a little bit. Maybe notice any sensations or activation in the arms. And then we'll not pick on them quite so much for a bit and work a little with the lower body in balance. So you can have your chair or wall next to you. If you like, you can always stay seated. Hold on to something if you like, or have your hands at your heart or on your hips. Bring the left foot forward to get your balance in your right foot. Soften your knee. We'll start to just rotate the knee out to the side as we were doing from the floor. So this is where, again, you can add or subtract challenge. You might just be bringing the knee out, bringing the knee in. If You want to add a little brain-based challenge. Just come back to the center. Bring your opposite hand forward so you can hold on to something with this side or lean into a wall. As your knee rotates out, your hand rotates out. Try to keep your elbow in towards your ribs and then come back in. So if we let our whole arm rotate, we don't get, or I shouldn't say rotate. If we let our whole arm come away from our body, we're strengthening a little different area. And if we really keep that elbow pinned in, we're really working on this front shoulder, front chest, postural muscles in the back. Also the brain, because of the coordination aspect. And then the next time you rotate out to the side, you could keep your foot here. You could plant it down. You could bring it out to the side, or you could rest it for a little tree pose, heel on your ankle. Or if you're familiar with tree pose, you could slide it up to the side of your calf. And then we'll take this hand and imagine, you have something placed in your hand. You're going to try to lift it up towards the ceiling. And you're going to try to lower it back down. Oh boy, keeping that balance and not dropping what's in your hand. So imagine you're holding like, I don't know, a little baby bird in there, or a little, an egg that you don't want to roll off of your hand. It's really challenging. We'll do one more, and you could have this foot on the floor, or keep coming in and out of the balance. We don't actually have anything in our hands, so it's okay if we drop it. And then let all that go. You might need to do a little shaking out of that leg or that hip, knee, maybe the arm. And then as you go to the other side, if you're using the chair for balance, you could rotate it around, or just have that wall or something to lean against. We'll bring the right foot forward. And whatever you'd like with your hands, pull me onto something. Noticing as you bring this knee out to the side and back in, how's the posture? Is the spine lengthened, but shoulders are relaxed, face is relaxed. I was noticing some facial tension there. I just had to let go of. All right, and then we might add the challenge of the opposite arm, bringing the palm up and pinning it to your side. So as the knee comes out, the hand goes out. We're doing our contralateral movement, which can be quite confusing for the brain. So if you have some confusion there, no worries, take your time. You really want to get fancy, move one out as the other comes in, and then one in as the other goes out, but that's, we'll do that another day. So as you come back to the center, we'll now come to our tree pose variation. So you can keep your foot where it is. You can rotate it out to the side. You can rest your heel on your ankle bone, or you could try that slide up. So if I've got my chair here, I can always lean into that if I need to. And then I might want to have that item on my palm that I'm going to try to lift a bit up to the ceiling as I hold the balance. And exhale, lower it back down. So try to keep your eyes on one place that's not moving and that's not directly down on the floor. Then you will tip over, your body's going to go where your eyes are looking. So noticing if it's more or less challenging on this side. I think that's about the amount we did on the other side. So just let that go, shake it all out. I had a big difference there from one side to the other on balancing. I don't know if the rest of you did, but sometimes that's a good thing to figure out. Where am I having these balance difficulties? And we'll take the feet wider apart. So if you're holding on to a chair or a wall, a chair, you probably want that in front of you. So the back of your chair could be right here, a wall behind you. And if you're seated in the chair, again, scooting to the front, you may want to have angled out feet in the chair. It's just more comfortable for the hips. If you're standing like I am, you might want to have feet facing forward and just take a little micro shift to each side. Lean your weight a little bit. And then see if you can really relax the hips and the pelvis. So see if they will move a little bit, and they may or may not, especially if the base of your spine and the muscles along the base of your spine are really tight. We just want to encourage a little bit of movement there. And you'll see why in a moment. We're encouraging that movement. All right, so we're gonna do a triangle pose, but not a super crazy version of it. So we'll take the left foot and rotate it out towards the short edge of the mat. And when you're in the chair, again, you can have a different orientation of your feet where it feels more comfortable. But as we were kind of doing this with the hips, that's what we want to envision in this posture, where we might start in the center and then we do the hip shift. We try to draw that hip back under us a little bit. So what we're looking for in a triangle is that kind of diagonal movement of the spine out this way. And then we could take the back of the hand to the inner thigh. And as this hip comes back, we might lengthen the spine. So again, it might not go very far. And we might take this arm into a cactus or further up. So for some of you, this is good right here. This is all you're doing. And you're trying to lengthen the spine out and trying to open up a bit here on the inner thigh. With the spinal conditions I talked about earlier, especially osteoporosis, you won't do the next step of triangle, which is the rotation. So when we're doing more of a rotation or an opening, and you could be down lower here if you know this pose, but try to keep the length of the spine. But rotating the spine is where we get into some trouble with those other spinal conditions. And then slowly push into your feet, draw your belly in, come back up. Just roll that shoulder out a bit. So if you're sitting in the chair, you're doing that same thing of kind of lengthening the spine. Rotate your left foot in and your right foot out. So hopefully a lot of that hip work we've been doing and hip mobilizing is helping a little bit. And again, you could do a little bit of hip shifting here, just kind of telling your hips, kind of telling your spine, okay, this is what we're going to be doing. We're loosening and then we're lengthening. And then again, I want you to try to draw the front hip under me a bit as I just lean a little bit out in this direction, drawing the belly in so we're not tipping over. We could use the back of the hand. You can always keep the hand on the hip or use the back of the hand. And maybe you're just here or one of these arm positions without any rotation. Or if you're doing rotation, making sure that that is okay for your spine today. And you can always look forward, down, up. You could be lower if you'd like. Pushing into the feet, inhale. So slowly come back up. Swing the arm or rotate there. All right, so we'll rotate right foot forward and re-rotate left foot to the side. So if that balance was a struggle and you were standing, maybe reorient yourself with a chair or a wall. And we're going to try a little extra here, a little extra. So let's see. I'm not going to use my chair, but if you want to have your chair, it would be right here in front of you and take a little bend into this knee. So if you glance down at your feet, you might notice you have an orientation here for a warrior two, where your front heel is kind of in the center of your back foot, if you drew a line there. And from the chair, this would be a position of one foot angled out, one foot angled forward. I like this better as a warrior two than trying to do this thing, which is very twisty in the lower back. And then if you know warrior two, you might say, ooh, this stance is too short. I want to lengthen my stance. Or you might say this stance is too long. I want to shorten my stance. So as we're doing that, we're just kind of getting the knee familiar with this position. And you can bend your knee out in the direction of your toes or keep your legs straight if that's more comfortable. And see if like you're leaning like this. If you bring your hand here to the heart, can you try to rotate, or not rotate, but bring your torso back up into the center of your body. Maybe send one or both arms out if you're not using them for support. And you can look straight ahead or over your front fingertips. And we'll take just a little slow flow here. So as you straighten the front leg, flip your front palm. Maybe lift it up as your backhand lowers to your back leg or your hip. As you come back to your warrior two, rebend. So as you inhale, you can straighten the leg, flip the palm, reach up, maybe lower your back hand, and come back. We'll just try that 2 more times, going into this reverse triangle. And then we're back to your warrior two. I'm sorry, this is not reverse triangle. That's a different pose. My brain's not working today. And then coming back to a straighter leg, rotate your feet to the other side. If you want to take like a little flesh out of the arms. And maybe a few bends on this side now. If you're standing, you're seated, you can just find that comfortable shape. Remember, re-lift the chest. So as we are going back into this pose, this is our peaceful warrior. I like lost my words there for a second. I was like, no, that's not a triangle. Okay. So once you have your knee bent, if you're bending your knee, you reach the arms back out to the sides. And if you'd like, you could turn your gaze over your front fingertips or just look straight ahead. You can always hold here or start to straighten your leg, reach your front hand up, your back hand down. But now you know what we're doing. You do about 2 more. You can do your own version and see if you can really incorporate your breath. So you're inhaling on the lift, exhaling on the lower. No rush. And as you straighten the leg, we'll bring the arms down. You can push them out a bit. Walk the feet in to just a little bit wider than hips distance apart. So even in the chair, you might want to bring your feet in a bit. We'll start to reach to each corner of the room. Like you're changing the light bulb or picking some fruit up there at a higher level. And you could stay here in the center again if rotation isn't good for you, or start to pivot on your heel of the hand, same side of the hand that you're lifting. You can take your time. Start coming across your body. If you get dizzy or nauseous, just stay in the center, look straight ahead, and don't rotate. Just move the arms. And starting to reach towards the floor. And slowly making your way back to the center. Having your feet about hips distance or slightly wider apart. Remember, we started here kind of doing this little shifting of the hips. So you can stick with that or take some circles standing or seated. So again, encouraging your low back to soften, your hips to soften, your face to soften. Be going the other way if you're circling. And then as you come back to the center, I'll turn sideways just so you can see better. With your feet about hip distance apart, I'm going to tuck the pelvis under. So imagine you're tucking under and then tilting back. So that can be a very small movement, tucking under, tilting back. You're trying to keep that in the lower part of your spine. So I'll show you just in a second how this is different than if we were doing a standing cat-cow. We might take our hands to our legs with the fingers facing in, or you could hold the back of a chair or a table, and then you're bringing the heart forward and rounding through the mid and upper back. With those kind of cautions of earlier, where you should not be rotating or inflection and rounding your spine. You can go to the little bit of an arch, drawing the heart forwards, and the tailbone up, and then just relaxing back to your neutral spine. So it's a much smaller movement than rounding back. And pressing off through the heels, lengthening back up. Do a standing version of our bird dog pose. So if you would rather do this in tabletop from hands and knees, or seated in the chair, as we reach a leg back, you'll just reach a leg forward from seated in the chair. Just getting a little different option with this because we do it from the floor a lot. So if you're using a chair, a countertop, or a wall, you could walk back a little bit. It'll lengthen the spine and soften the knees. And then send one hand forward. And then the other. And then if it's comfortable, you could bring your opposite foot back or forward if you're in the chair. Keeping your belly engaged a bit. And coming back in, so you have like a little, potentially a little mini chair pose if you're standing. And push off into the heels. And lift up. And exhale, you can either come to hands at the heart, sticking your little chair pose, or you can stay standing, just lifting the arms. Really sitting that way back towards your heels if you're standing. And the last one. And then take a nice slow float down of the arms. Maybe reach them back slightly if that's comfortable. Really open up through the chest and shoulders. Roll that out. Great. All right, so if you need to shake anything out, do some circling, do some hula hoops, whatever you're gonna do, we're gonna come back to either lying down on the mat, or not come back to, we have never gotten there yet, unless you did that at the beginning. Or coming back to seated in the chair. So if you're coming to the floor, you could place a block, or not a block, sorry, a blanket. I really don't have words today, or a pillow, and place one knee down, and then the other knee down. Shifting to your hips and swinging your legs around just one way. If you're staying seated in the chair, again, you could have the blanket vertically along your spine or horizontally across your low back. Once you've found a comfortable shape, just take a moment with your feet wide, maybe knees touching, or if you had your blocker pillow, sometimes that feels more supportive to have that between your knees. Just really softening into your face, into your belly. And if you're holding that block or pillow between your knees, just walk your feet a little bit closer. If you're not holding it, you can keep your feet farther apart. You might want to take a little rock of the knees and explore what that feels like with the block or pillow between the knees. If you like that support or not, and if you don't, just take it out. If your back is feeling pretty healthy today, not a lot of tension or pain there, and your core muscles are pretty strong, you could always lift the feet up and do a little bit of rotation side to side with the knees. But again, we don't want to feel any strain or pulling in the back. As you come to the center, just release if you've had a block or a pillow. You have your arms wherever they're comfortable. Keep one leg bent, let your other leg come out long. And you can stay here and just tip the knee of the bent leg towards the straight leg, going into a little bit of that internal rotation. Or if it's comfortable, you can push into the foot of the bent knee and roll towards your straight leg. You can always add a lift of the arm on the same side as the bent leg, either straight out to the side or further up, or you could let your head roll in that direction. And we're just kind of getting back into the connective tissue as we're cooling it down here. And when you're ready, just slowly switch. You can just tip the bent knee in towards the straight leg a few times. Softening the shoulders, the face. You can do a visualization of that movement. Or you could push into the foot of the bent leg and start to roll up towards your straight leg. Or as you roll, you could lift the arm out to the side or further up of your bent leg, or turn your head in that direction. Oops, I'm losing my blocks. And as you come back to the center, letting both legs relax and lengthen. So if it's not comfortable for your back to fully lengthen your legs out, you can always bend the knees. But just take a moment, letting everything settle. And if you flex your right foot, see if you can press your heel down away from you. So you might feel your hip lengthen down. If you're seated in the chair, this leg will have to be straight out in front of you a bit. And so you press down a bit through the heel and through the hip just a bit. And let that relax. And flex your left foot, press down through the heel. See if you can encourage your hip to lengthen. And let that soften and relax. Re-soften your legs, settle your pelvis. And just see if you are comfortable where you are, or if you'd like to cactus or goalpost your arms to the sides with your elbows bent into a more passive chest and heart opener. Another option here would be to slide or step your feet in, going back into constructive rest with your knees touching or the block between your knees or pillow. Or some of you might like to have the arms in that cactus or goalpost shape and your knees to the sides with your soles of your feet touching. That pretty big external rotation can be supported with blocks or pillows under the outsides of the legs. And this is not always a comfortable shape, especially with this much external rotation. So feel free to have your knees touching as in constructive rest or straight up. Maybe straight up above the ankles if that's more comfortable. Allowing your eyes to soften or close. If you're really relaxed, you can stay where you are. If you'd like to start to slowly Extend your legs if they were bent. You can do that, or place a rolled blanket under the legs. Maybe bringing your arms back down to your sides if they were lifted, or you could always rest your hands on your belly, or one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Lying on your side or seated if that's more comfortable. Noticing the contact points of your body with your chair or your mat. Notice how you might bring a little more ease to your breath, ease to your body. Imagining the belly like a silk scarf that floats up in the breeze, floats back down to the earth. If you need lose that sensation of floating up and floating down, just keep coming back to it. Maybe you can encourage a steady rhythm of the breath. Determining if you'd like to stay longer in your relaxation, or if you'd like to stay longer in that shape for a meditation. You're ready to close your practice, taking your time to reorient to your space, to your body, taking any movements or shapes that feel just very intuitive. And trusting your body that it knows how to release tension and stress when we don't get in the way with our conscious thinking brain. And if you are closing, bringing the palms to the heart or just in your mind's eye to the heart. In a moment of appreciation for your practice, and your body's abilities today. And brain as the conductor of the orchestra that is you. A very simple quote today: be kind, it shakes the world. You have a wonderful rest of your day and week. and take good care. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Be well.